Private with presidential candidate, former Senator BongBong Marcos. Sir, as the only son and namesake of the late former President Marcos, you were exposed to a life of privilege. How did this shape the way you are today?
Well, inevitably, you get used. I mean, of course, there's no denying we were very comfortable, and we were very privileged as the president's children. But my parents would never let us forget that this is not yours. This is from the people. Everything we have, all the advantages that we have gained, any successes that we have achieved, and any comfort or privilege that we enjoy comes from the people. And that's why you have to serve. And so that was well balanced. It was very clear to us that we were very, very lucky. Hindi ito, hindi, dapat talaga ganitong buhay. Hindi, sinasabi sa amin.
Pero sinabi niyo dapat balansehin, di ba? Laging binibilan ng parents niyo yung balansehin pa rin yung buhay. I'm sure narinig niyo po that there was one speech where President Duterte said you were a spoiled brat and a weak leader. Do you want to respond to that?
Yeah. Well, I think he was playing politics. I think one of the things we have learned about PRRD is that he likes to keep everyone on their toes. Ayaw niyang yung masyado kung mag-relag, talagang he's always making sure everybody's thinking hard about what they're doing. So I think that was one of those instances.
And so, from a privileged life, your family was forced out of Malacanang during the 1986 People Power Revolt. But how did you explain those events to your children naman po as they were growing up?
Well, my children, when they started, it really happens when they start to read. They can read the newspaper already. And my children were born in essentially the 90s. So, andyan pa rin, meron pa rin mga anti-Marcos na galit sa father ko, galit sa amin, etc. And I gave them the same explanation that it wasn't my parents, but my aunts and uncles. I remember when my father was Senate President, every day, ang dyaryo, oust Marcos, oust Marcos, oust Marcos. I don't know, hindi ko na naintindihan, but it was a big, big issue. Kasi patakbo na siya ng presidente noon. So, oust na. Sabi ko, so I asked one of my uncles, and I said, ba't ganyan? Ano bang ginawa ng father ko? Ba't galit sila? Sabi niya, hindi, ganyan talagang politika. Because gusto nga silang nakaupo dyan. Kaya gusto nilang tanggalin yung tatay mo para sila na ang umupo. Ganyan lang talagang politika. Sabi niya, walang nanalo ng election by 100%. Laging may babatikos yan. Yan ang buhay ng politiko. So, I mean, it's something that we understood immediately. And that's the explanation that I gave my children.
And how about a lot of our voters now are more than 50% youth talaga yung mga millennials, Gen Z. How about the issue of martial law? How would you explain it to them?
Well, I think the best people who can explain it to them are the relatives who went through it. And we have explained it. We've been explaining it for 40 years already. And, you know, I explained it by saying that the situation at the time was dire. We were fighting a war on two fronts. We had the secessionist movement in the South. We have the dissident NPAs, CPP NPA in the countryside. And there was something, and these were people who wanted to bring down the government, and the government had to defend itself. So that was my understanding. That's always been my understanding of it, and I think it was so, because if you look at the historical record, totoo naman, ganyan naman talaga ang nangyari. So that's why I think that that's how I explained that was what your lolo had to do. He felt he had to do that.
But once in a while, and you have also mentioned this, na nabibiktima din po kayo ng fake news, sinasabi nyo.
Yeah, but
so
Everybody,
is,
it's a social media. It's a social media. Everybody's a victim of fake news.
so kayo po, tingin nyo, may mga ganun na rin, parang fake news targeted against you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I could give you a whole list of hundreds of instances with that.
But Senator, kasi I just have to ask you that misinformation is also being attributed kasi naman to your supporters, to your online supporters. Even Facebook and Twitter, they took down hundreds of pages of spamming behavior kasi daw parang hindi siya organic. Or how do you say about allegations that your supporters have a machinery of disinformation, and when you say not organic, it's not
Find me
true?
one. Find me. Show me one. One. Just one.
May mga tinanggal po ang Twitter and Facebook.
But those are their individual accounts. And besides, I don't know, Twitter. Some of these things are, these are from the United States. They don't know what's going on here, so maybe they might be mistaken in some instances. But again, these are individuals. Yung sinasabi ng trolls, thousands, so hanapan mo ako ng isa. Just one. Find me a troll.
What you're
that's
saying
working
is
for us.
they can't prove it and
They
directly
don't
link it to you.
exist. That's why you show me the place where there are hundreds of trolls sitting in front of a computer spreading fake news. It doesn't exist. But,
If ever
ang malakas ang loob ko kasi alam kong hindi nangyayari yun eh.
na walang trolls that can be directly linked to your campaign or to you.
There are no trolls. We have no trolls.
Okay.
None. Not a single one. I have been offered a click army. I've been offered a troll. Hindi ko ginagamit yan. Because it's very simple. You know what the evolution of that is? Is because when I started doing the vlogs, which is we're now up to our 210th, something like that. When we started doing the vlogs, ibuboost ba natin? Mag-a-add ba tayo? Sabi ko, wag na kasi hindi natin malalaman kung ano talaga yung numero. So up to now, we don't boost. We don't do ads. You saw the Facebook, zero ako.
Yung ads, yung
I have
amount
not-
spent,
I
no?
don't,
Yeah.
because we got used to working that way. And alam mo, ang mga bata, the most heavy users of social media are younger people. My son showed me 2 clicks. It's a troll. 2 clicks, that's boosted. Wala na, it's not effective anymore. Kitang-kita mo naman yung mga comment, diba? Pare-pareho. Iba kunwari, pare-pareho yung address, iba-iba yung sinasabi. O pare-pareho yung iba-iba yung address pero pare-pareho yung sinasabi. Halatang-halata naman eh. So it's
So moving forward, sir,
useful.
would you support, kasi may bills po pending bills, diniscuss na rin siya on committee level, that will penalize propagators of fake news or disinformation. Kung gagawin siyang batas, sir,
How do you do it?
as a policy.
How do you do it? One of the greatest advantages of the internet in general, not just social media, is that it's interactive and it's open source, if that's what you want to call it. So anybody can participate. And how do you control that? And why would you want to? So it is so far self-regulating because it's really very hard for a government to control it. Siguro Zuckerberg can control it, but
Yung
I don't know if we can. I don't know if even if you there's an action that legislation is always behind technology. Because it takes time for the legislators to understand what the technology really means, how it works. By which time, it has moved on already. Kaya laging behind yung batas. So, I don't know how you will do that. I think the only defense for everybody is to interact and to read everything. Don't read one thing. Yung tinatawag na echo chamber. Kayo-kayo lang. Ang galing-galing mo. Hindi, galing talaga. Hindi, ang galing. Nagbubulahan lang kayo. So it's you have to be more. You have to show a little discretion in what you believe in.